Sorry to bother you. Can I please take a photo of everybody here? Sure. Perfect. Thank you, sirs. Got any good stories? Well, I'm sure there's plenty. Right. Yeah, we're like pretty good. There. It was like
Very
Yes. Kind of hard to see that when they're on it happens more often than you would think. It's still pretty rare as far as I'm concerned. What would they like?
I don't know, that's a thing. In the oil. Okay.
Probably very musty. Yeah. It was very musty.
We found a hotel.
That's just a lot. We were checking, but we were down for.
There were a lot like that.
More going all my own. And then I met this guy, sketches all that. I think Hispanic, like ancestry.
Good.
I'm not an expert on it, but I think it's cool. And
Oh, he just got here. His son's are castle, but they are.
well, French were on the whole other paper.
Remember I actually said that to you tomorrow?
Because a lot of what is now France was once owned by people known as Saxons. Officially, what is now half of France and also part of Britain.
Right. Yeah, and the one was a loop that was actually that.
I believe if I lived in this house, I would work.
And I love that.
Except you couldn't be tough to call because
Yeah.
I wasn't on call.
Watch whatever you're like bitching on it. Because she couldn't really do much. She was bitching. He would giggle.
Hey.
There you are, cuz. Buddy.
Rounding up the herd.
There you go.
Morning, Graham.
All right, Brennan.
Hey, Brent. Scott, see ya.
Come on in. Have a seat. No, let's go. That one's not.
How are you? Good to see you.
Take the
Like the architecture, feel. We went to Davis right after riding to Davis, so yeah, still Berkeley. Much different. But yeah, that was the last school. It is. Apparently it's because they like to announce the same time like the Ivy League. All the other UC schools really wait until the Ivy League. And he found out like an hour earlier that he didn't get into Yale.
And it was hard to like, oh, it's so sad. I'm like, oh,
Saoirse, Earth and planetary sciences is what he's going in. He was obsessed with dinosaurs as a kid and hadn't really expressed that much continuing interest, but then when it was time to choose a major, he was like, yeah, I want to be a paleontologist. Okay, well, study some science and see what happens. So, yeah, I don't know. The last 6 months, though, he's kind of wavering on that. That would be a lawyer. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, the GE stuff. Takes someone. Yes. He's going to have quite a few. He's been taking 18 courses. And I don't know that he's doing that, but he will have the potential to graduate from the probably. That's what he said he wants. Classical guitar. So the MVP of the guitar on travel by Dylan. Saoirse as a freshman. Same for Owen. Also was the MVP of the introductory guitar class. And she's in a punk rock band with a girl. They just performed down here on Newport at a bar, the Irish bar in Victoria.
Did you go, Bob?
I haven't seen her yet.
Oh, that's a good one.
So yeah, they're both doing great.
yeah, it's not like there's three houses from four islands. And then
Sean just said that for Ireland. Well, I don't know how much Sean is going to take for Ireland first. Yeah, he's been talking about all I do. I don't know if something changed with them or if they're just thinking maybe but yeah, Sean said it. No, do you see the number one public school in the country?
Oh, I got it. Yeah, yeah. No company goes real quick. And we were riding
Is there much still going on with that accident that happened last night at the airport?
I didn't go through the
Oh, okay. Many years ago.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, totally. Intentionally, maybe? I don't know.
95 degrees.
Yeah.
Next morning when I opened my curtain to the hotel,
You saw the plane coming.
I could not believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
I mean, maybe just out of his mind.
And I could outrun a plane.
But it didn't night a Frontier airplane was taking off at Denver, and somebody jumped the airport fence and ran out onto the runway in front of them. Got sucked into the engine. As they weren't just sitting there taxiing, they were on takeoff, like 150 knots or something. Blew an engine and then hit the brakes. Yeah, I guess all for the evacuation, if they had to come down the emergency slide. The cabin started filling with smoke. Stay there. Yeah. We were just checking out this morning to get his fitted for his prom tuxedo. And as we were driving back into town, there was a guy down the street wearing one of the practice jerseys from his high school volleyball team. Westfield volleyball jersey. Nothing like what it was in the 60s and 70s. Huh.
You guys are the leaders.
Joe Rogan wrote him and texted him or something, and got in his ear about it. Immediately, he does an executive order to, I think, change it from a Schedule 2 to Schedule 1, and I don't know, and make it easier for research to happen, because there's anecdotal evidence that ibogaine treatment can really PTSD. But I thought it was more broad than that, maybe.
Well, originally,
What's that step?
second,
Tell me about Griff. What's happening?
Colorado?
all those.
Once the hoop goes,
And I mean,
oh yeah, that's my job. Work as a biological consultant. But I would give quite a bit better performance in the Hawaii quite a bit, Southeast Arizona a lot, Kenya once. Been a lot of southern coast of Canada is a really popular spot right now. About a year, great migration of birds come across the area. Yeah, really be awesome to get paid to go. Oh yeah?
Yeah, I read it to him, partner. Ran his kids actually. He was like taking a lap around the lake. They were always making me feel he had a couple bicycles. You know, he had his doctor walk sweating to his blood.
Yeah. I've tried this, it's hard.
Yeah.
You can get rid of both binoculars still, but the heart rate is at 120.
oh no,
And when I
that's all right.
first got into bird watching, my buddy and I were in college, and we immediately felt super self-conscious, like not what young strapping men are supposed to be doing. So we decided, all right, we're into extreme bird watching.
There you go.
So we got on mountain bikes and we were going up the mountain. Immediately discovered that we could not hold binoculars while we're doing it. We either got to get in much better shape or just give up on it. We never did that again. But to this day, we still put binoculars on rats and rats.
That's his hobby. You do it.
Yeah.
Deborah and
What kind of tree is this?
a banana tree.
That's right. Pretty awesome.
Butterfly.
Oh, they're beautiful, aren't they? Yeah, that's a. See this?
Come on, little butterfly. Come on.
Can I put some screen right here? You get your face?
How long is the process?
Why is it not supposed to be? No.
So the event's gonna happen, so we'll start heading down.
Exciting thing we were all involved in and headed to times. Okay. Thank you. Over here. Or?
Isn't it amazing? John's been hard at work. Tell you what, it looks great.
This is phenomenal.
We know where you're
Met one of you. I haven't met the other.
Anna Banana. Anna Sweetheart.
Stick with her.
Let's leave chairs for.
You want to share, Tim?
Yeah, I think I'll fit. One day's not doing
You're a
too well.
strong, healthy girl.
Is this chair for you? For you the
I was open.
Where should we put these? You want to go be with Nana? Well, yeah, let's go stand behind Nana. That's a great idea.
You guys want to sit? I'll get over here.
Behind you.
We'll do stadium seating.
Way back.
Facing you. Yeah. Throw one more chair over there.
Here, I'm going to
Yeah, I was going to Now you're done.
Your phone. Sure. I'm moving.
I'm his.
Reach the radio on next case.
See better when I'm standing.
Got a couple seconds.
It's an old bag. I'm sure someone can.
honest.
I remember you guys were babies.
Oh, you're okay.
Where'd my other son go?
He was right behind me.
Was it?
Yeah.
Brennan and there's some hiding away back.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
You need to come forward.
Come on.
Why don't we move?
Watch out for the right show.
Room further back here too.
No, you know what?
I don't think so.
Deborah.
There's a chair there.
Careful.
I know, but I'm not the queen.
That's for old people.
I'm not the queen.
I'll sit right there. I'm here.
Deborah.
Where did
You get me in this guy.
Well, there's another one. Okay. Well, I'll take it.
I see you. Okay, we got lots of bees here.
Sorry. Is it better to pass the same one each time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There are a lot of bees in there. See, there goes.
I gotta just, if it's too loud, I gotta just.
Okay.
We stand here.
Wondering if pretty good. We haven't started yet. Just finished the sort of snacks and drinks. There's a couple seats still there.
Oh, you are? Yeah.
Where are you gonna go?
We good, Doug? Yeah.
We're good? All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today and sharing with us as we remember my mom, Joanne Knapp-Philo. You were all here because you knew and loved her, and that makes my job easier because I don't have to tell you all about her. and all the ways that she was wonderful, because you guys already know. Instead, I'd like to share a few stories that are meaningful to me. My first story is from when I was 6, and I was really into both the space shuttle and also carrot cake. And so, of course, for my birthday, I asked for a space shuttle cake. And my mom spent hours in the sweltering August Connecticut heat baking multiple carrot cakes and shaping them into a giant space shuttle, complete with cream cheese frosting, just in time for my birthday party. But the night before the party, our dog Molly decided that she would also like to try some carrot cake and proceeded to eat the entire tail section of the plane, of the shuttle. Not surprisingly, Molly years later developed diabetes. We don't know if those were directly related, but maybe. So the morning of my birthday, we woke up to find a demolished shuttle cake only a few hours before the party. But of course, somehow my mom managed to pull it off. She baked cakes again, repaired the shuttle, hosted the party, and my birthday was exactly what I wanted. So when I think about a mom's love, this story comes to mind. I'm sure many of you have experienced this, where your brain sometimes just flashes to some thought or memory of the people you've lost. For me, with mom, this usually happens just randomly, most times without any obvious connection. Lately, though, there have been reminders of mom that do have an obvious connection, like when I'm sitting in the passenger seat with Lyndon in the driver's seat behind the wheel. So my mom taught me how to drive, and I drove an old Nissan Stanza with a manual transmission with a worn-out clutch. I remember it being worn out to start with, but my dad might have a different memory of that. Anyway, I did eventually get my license, and one of the funny things about looking back is I don't remember any moments of my mom having any moments of sheer bewilderment at my poor decision making, or really having any near disasters. And I'm sure those did happen. She was just so calm and patient with me that I don't remember it. So now when I'm in the passenger seat, I try to be just like her. And so when I think about mom's patience, this story comes to mind. So I have one more story. When I was 9 and we lived in Connecticut, mom and I went on a hike over spring vacation, and we were going down a dirt road. There was So this was April, so there was still some lingering ice and snow around, and I was just wandering, staring off at the trees, looking for birds or animals, and suddenly mom was down on the ground next to me. She had stepped on a snow patch that wasn't just snow, there was filling in a pit in the road, and she snapped her ankle. She knew she was hurt and was in trouble and couldn't get out on her own, but she didn't really let that onto me. She endured the pain and kept calm and just sent me very calmly to go get some help, and we got her out of there. So when I think about mom's fortitude and grit, that story comes to mind. That story was also important to share because it reflects something about mom that frankly made the last years difficult. As you all know now, mom suffered from Alzheimer's, and she suffered for a long time. But the same fortitude and grit I just described would not allow her to place any of the burden on us, as she saw it. And she worked very hard to keep it a secret for much of that time. She wanted to bear that burden herself. As for son, this was tough. Both Lisa and I wanted to be more involved, but we all also know mom's stubborn side too. And we ultimately prioritized respecting her wishes. I have watched my dad through it all, and my final story about mom is really about them both. It's a love story, really. I've watched my parents through the years support each other through moves, mom following dad across the country 3 times, the ups and downs of jobs, the loss of parents, and eventually how they faced this final chapter together. My dad has given his all to support mom these last years, And I stand here today in awe of their enduring love and respect for each other. So when I think about the perfect role models, about what it means to love a partner through it all, their story comes to mind. So it's bittersweet to share these stories without her here, but I know Mom would be thrilled to have us all here in her garden, which she loved so much. So please take some time to wander her garden, hopefully see some fantastic butterflies and blooms, and share your stories of Mom with one another. So thank you all for being a part of my mom's life, and thank you for being with us today. If there's anyone else who would like to share next, I'm happy to pass the mic. There's two.
How does it work? Just talk?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Mine's not as long as Evan's. I just couldn't talk that long. I think I'm lucky I'll get through this. I'm Yvonne. I thought at least get through my name. I can do it. I can do it. I'm Joanne's sister. And first of all, Evan's right. Thank you for being here. She would have loved this. She would have loved that you were thinking of her enough to come and share in this. Joanne, I will just say, was my first best friend. I adored her. She took great care of me throughout my entire life. She taught me so much. And one of the things I'm trying to say here is that throughout my life, she did take great care of me. And she taught me from the very beginning how to braid my hair, how to cook, how to help me ride a bike. She taught me how to make my bed. I mean, the list goes on. And every night she would read to me. She was always teaching me. I'll tell you one silly story. I remember when I was about 14, I got so frustrated because she was always teaching me. I was like, could you just please be my sister? Anyway, I loved her, just adored her. There's a photo that comes. I have a photo of her. I was about 5 and she was 14, and she was, I'm sitting there holding my baby doll, snuggled up next to her, and she's reading to me. And it's like one of my earliest, sweetest memories. We both ended up being educators. I was a reading specialist. She gave her life to education as well. We just went in different paths, but I know that it was because of her that I was so inspired to love kids and work with kids. As many of you have witnessed, for Joanne, teaching was an act of love. And I had the benefit, as all of you did, to witness that, I'm sure. And I'm glad that I don't have the same little stories about Joanne, so that's good. Well, I want to talk a little bit about her generosity. She was incredibly generous, and I'll just give you a couple of examples. So when they were first married, John and Joanne were living in Palo Alto, and John was getting his PhD at Stanford, and I was by that summer, I was about 14, and even though they were on an incredibly tight budget, my mom and dad thought it was a great idea to get rid of me and send me to California for the summers. And so I had the great joy of getting to spend my summers as a teenager in California and San Francisco area, and Palo Alto. It was amazing. And Joe and John, despite that tight budget, shared the best of California with me, and they are lifelong memories for me. But this is the good part I want to tell you, because it was amazing. They took me backpacking in Yosemite. They took me to see the sequoias. They took me to Muir Woods. They took me sailing on the bay. They took me, Joanne let me audit a course she was taking at Stanford on women's history, and she was just such a feminist. It was such a good model for me. I got to go to explore San Francisco. We would go and see all the sights in San Francisco, and then and try all the amazing foods. I'll get to that in a second. We went to Napa Valley in the 70s, such a different place than it is today, and what a treasure that was for me. I was talking to Deborah the other day, just yesterday, about we went to Salinas to see a rodeo. Never seen a rodeo. I was raised on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and we didn't have rodeos, I'll tell you. And so she took me, she knew my love was swimming, so she took me to a swim meet in San Jose. I mean, it was just enormously thoughtful and generous to give me these opportunities that I would have never had a chance to have. So forever grateful. And the other thing that was so fun, I could remember in their kitchen eating artichokes for the first time and dipping them in delicious butter and having avocados. None of the dim sum downtown Chicago, downtown San Francisco, like enchiladas. I'd never had Mexican food. Like, it was like this whole new world of food. This was awesome. No wonder my parents were like, go, enjoy. So the summers were incredible and full of wonderful memories. But I will say, to this day, I'm not sure how John put up with me. Seriously. I'm forever grateful. I must have played Carole King's Tapestry all day, every day. And he probably, I don't know how he put up with it all. But if you all could just take a minute and think about how Joanne may have been generous with you and all of the ways she was generous, I think it would mean a lot. So I just want to say, Joe, I love you. You'll always be with me. Anybody else say something?
I have something. Do you want to go? No, Matt, you have something prepared. Okay. I feel like my speech teacher would be really disappointed that I have paper, but I'm not sure I can get through it without something to hold and look at. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Evan's wife, so Joanne's daughter-in-law. And the first Christmas that Evan and I were married, which was all the way back at the tail end of the 1900s, as the kids call it now, we did not see John and Joanne, and I think that was your first Christmas without them. We went to Maryland, where my parents lived, but also where, as you just heard from Yvonne, where Joanne had largely grown up and where her parents still were. And so we had Christmas dinner and a few post-Christmas celebratory days with Teresa in Denver, who most of us called Nana and Pop-Pop, and Mary and Greta came in, and all the Barheights were there. All the Barheights there were then. There are some lovely new Barheights now. And it was just one of my best Christmases ever. I was so excited about this new family that I was part of. And then we got back to Rhode Island, and there was a box waiting for us. And it was Christmas presents that John and Joanne had sent, and we just had missed them before the holiday. And so we opened them up. I have no idea what you got. I don't remember. I know what I got. I got a beautiful lavender shirt. And we called John and Joanne that night to thank them for the gifts. And Joanne said to me, "Are you sure you like it? Are you sure? Because we can return it." And I said, "No, I love the shirt." And she said, "Okay, good, because you really need to wear something other than black and brown." Oh. And I did not laugh immediately. And obviously I remember the story more than 26 years later. But she was right. She was so right. And it was really the perfect gift. because thereafter, whenever I would go shopping, I would instinctively reach for black and brown, and I would have Joanne in my ear, and I would think, a little more color, Lisa, and it shaped my wardrobe. So last May, John and Joanne visited us, and Joanne and I took our final shopping trip together. And we went to a little store in Wickford, and I'm looking to Pam, Midnight Sun, which sells what I would affectionately call hippie-ish clothing. And we browsed, and Joanne wanted to buy her mom an outfit, and that was tough. But we moved past that, and then the two of us really enjoyed looking at all the colorful fabrics together for a while. And when it was time to pick out something to bring here for this event today, I knew that I had to go back to Midnight Sun and purchase something colorful that Joanne might have even worn herself. And so Joanne, this, not black and brown, mostly, is for you. I think she would like it.
She'll totally wear that.
Yes. So lest it seem that my most important shares about Joanne have to do with wardrobe, let me move on to what is the most important gift that Joanne ever gave me. That lavender shirt started a cascade of color changes for my clothing choices. But the brightest addition that Joanne was responsible for in my life was a boy named Evan. And she and John raised an amazing human being. And I have reaped the rewards of that. And I'm also the mom of 2 teen boys, so I have some inkling of how hard that is. And I never told her about the impacts of that beautiful lavender shirt on that very first Christmas. But I know that she knew how grateful I was to share my life with her son. So Joanne, in honor of you as a mom, you up, Matt?
You know, talking at places like this and events like this are always so difficult. Sometimes your mind goes blank as to what you might want to say, but this time I knew exactly what story I was going to share. It wasn't my first memory of my Aunt Joanne, but certainly the most meaningful and impactful. So, take you back to the early 90s. I was about 10 at the time, and I flew across country to get to spend some time with Evan and my Aunt Joanne and my Uncle John, and Griff was already out here. And I was a bit of a smart aleck at the time, and I remember having a massive culture shock coming from the suburbs of Baltimore to then arriving in LAX and being picked up, and it was a totally different world. And I remember vividly seeing the first time I'd ever seen a person dressed the way now many people probably think of it as more common, but with a crazy mohawk and this attire that was beyond not even hippie-ish. It was like something that I can't even describe. And I remember just being so blown away and just said, wow, he is so weird. And Aunt Joanne just immediately said, he's not weird. He's just different. And that has stuck with me ever since then. There are so many times in my life ever since that 30 some years ago, and that something seems so foreign or so surprising, and I just think to myself, it's not weird, it's just different, and it makes me put myself in that person's shoes. And that is a gift that I am so glad to have received, because it's something that has made me a better person. And every time it happens, I say to myself, they're just different. Is anyone else want to say?
She did give me that lecture too. I had the same one.
All of us? Yeah, I think that's true. All right. All right. Just but that's
Of course, you have to be able to talk.
I can talk. Well, I'm doing all the talking?
You're starting.
Okay. Well, I don't know. If you haven't met us yet, we're the Trunk family. And Joanne was the fourth member of our family.
And Tony was...
And Tony married into the family a long time ago, so, you know, it's okay. Anyway, we all started in Modesto, California in 1969. And we all came from different areas. I was California. Jeannie came from Iowa, right? Mary came from Michigan. Tony came from California as well. And Joanne from Maryland. So we all shared a duplex, 2 on one side, 2 on the other side.
And Tony lived somewhere else.
He had visiting rights. So that's how we got started. And we just stayed friends ever since, because it just worked for us. And we were all different. And everyone moved around and had families and stuff, but it was always there, just like it was supposed to be. And I don't remember any big flare-ups or any sort of personality or things that took place. We just always had a good time. And I taught in the same school with Joanne that year, and I had a third grade, and she taught right across the hall from me. She had special ed. And we did stuff together. We did Earth Day, the first Earth Day that year, with our kids out in the playground, and we got all this stuff, and the newspaper came and took our picture, and that was nice. It was a little bitty town. There wasn't a lot of news in that town. And then we did, I had a lot of Mexican kids in my class, and so there was this one mom she was so good, and she was this wonderful, wonderful cook. So we had a party, and we gave her all of the ingredients, and she made this wonderful food, and we had this great time. And then I said, I've had enough of Houston, I'm leaving. And Joanne said, I've had enough too, and she left. And then we just kept on, you know. I do have a funny story in addition. We persuaded Joanne to go skiing with us.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And we had convinced her that it was very important to make sure that your boots were tight enough. So Joanne, being a good little trooper, made sure the boots were tight enough. And we skied, and she flunked, and she this, and by the end of the day she said, "Oh, I'm done," you know, and she took off the boots, and I mean, her ankles were bleeding because those boots were so damn tight. And she said, "Well, you told me." It was like, "Okay, Joanne." And so that was the last time we went skiing with Joanne. Took care of it. Mary?
You know, Joanne had so many incredible qualities, but one of the things I think we all treasured most was her outreach. She was the one who always called to see how you were doing. She knew who your family was and always was concerned and interested about how they were doing. And we had some lovely reunions here with John and Joanne. And we will just also miss her.
Yes, she was very special. I would sometimes kind of forget about her. She wouldn't let me. She'd call me up. Jeannie, how are you doing? That was special. She cared about me through those years. She never gave up on me. Another real bond we had was education and our dedication to being an educator. And although I never really left the classroom, I always loved and appreciated the fact that Joanne thought my work was really important. Even though she went up to much higher levels, she said, Jeannie, you're doing the real important work. And I appreciated that about her. Joanne, as we all know, was a very special person.
Ooh.
Do.
I'm going to just, one or two words. Joanne was a lot of fun. We're just going to let it go at that. She was great. She expressed her political views, and thank God we were on the same page.
True. Next.
Nope, I think we're done. Who's next?
I'll take that. Yeah. Another educator. Yes? Yeah. Okay. And there's probably two other ladies that need to stand up here with me because we're all three from Ventura County.
Okay.
All right. I see Fran and I see Lori.
Well, we're right here with you.
Okay. So, I was introduced to Joanne in the early 90s. I was a special ed coordinator for the Head Start program in Ventura County. Now, you got to know, most people that were in K through 12 really didn't know a lot about Head Start, but Joanne did. When she came to Ventura County, our superintendent, Dr. Weiss, said, she went to him, where's Head Start? And he said, well, they do have one here. And she did her homework and she reached out to me, which was unusual, actually, coming from someone on the general ed side down to preschool special ed. She reached out to me. And so through that meeting, we formed a partnership that allowed us to write a grant around inclusion of young children with disabilities who were all in the same campus, same building, but in separate rooms based on their abilities. And she and I had the same worldview that it didn't need to be that way. And we wrote a grant and we were successful and we were able to change the environment of where those children all came together. We went on to do other partnerships around the including of children, young children from infants and toddlers and preschoolers with disabilities and their families. So that's the professional part of me and Joanne. On the personal level, we two Catholic girls went to Catholic school. We had a lot of nun stories to share. A lot of nun stories. And we had family, our feelings about our own family. So I have a lot of stories. I don't see Evan. Evan? I'm up here. We're here. A lot of Evan stories. A lot of Evan stories. To teaching you how to sign in big crowds and being on a boat. And she needed you to come closer, and you closed your eyes because she was signing for you to come closer, and so you closed. That was one of the stories about you, Evan, that I remember. From the ladies that she taught in Modesto, she shared about the time she had to go and pick out a veil for her wedding. Was that you? That story saved me and my daughter when she was getting married because my daughter announced she was not going to wear a veil. And I said, well, that's not going to work. And Joanne said to me, I have a story for you, but you're not going to think it's funny right now. She was right.
I can give you the story.
You want to get the story?
Okay.
Come on.
So Joanne's mother wanted her to get a veil. Joanne says, didn't want a veil. And you know, Joanne was stubborn. So we said, we have to get a veil, Joanne. Your mom wants it. You have to get a veil. No, I'm not going to get a veil. So I got her drunk.
This is
Yeah. And we went into Modesto. We went to the bridal store. I said, we need see some veils. They brought out this and that. And Joanne, you know, was, no, no, no. I said, we'll take that one.
So that saved me and my daughter's relationship when she shared that story, because she said, this is what you got to remember, Marianne. It's her day. But it felt like it should be my day in some way. So she said, this is what you do. You get no, not get it. She said, you got to practice saying that sounds like a fine idea. Even if it's not a fine idea to you, that's what you say. So I'm like, okay, I got that. And she said, but it's not enough for you to say it. Your body and face has to look like that. So practice in the mirror saying that. Came in handy when the child actually got the veil, and she came out, and it was not the veil I imagined, and I was in the shower when she announced this. And I had to think about that, and I went, as naked as I was and dripping wet, I said, that's a great idea. That was a Joanne one. Loved her dearly, but I think I have to say the most precious gift that Joanne gave to me was the gift of my oldest daughter and the career that she selected and the journey that she went on. When my daughter graduated college, she thought she was going to be one of those newscaster people. That's what she majored in. But somehow she had picked up in her genes somehow about children. And she just knew so much about children. So when she graduated, like most graduates, she had no job. And so Joanne offered her a job working on one of our grants, on the Special Quest. And under Joanne's influence, Lisa went back to school. And she got her master's degree. And just recently in March, she got her doctorate in education.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So she came here, though, when we learned that we needed to make a visit with Joanne. And she had not told anyone in our family, except myself and her siblings, that she had finished. But she wanted Joanne to know the impact she had made on her with her encouragement and support and her modeling and all of that. And so that's what she does. She's with the state, working with young people who work with young children with disabilities, infants and toddlers. So that's the legacy. That's legacy. You pass it forward. So I thank you, John, for sharing her on all those hit the ground flying down the LAX and cross the country at a moment's notice. Evan, and she loved her grandson so much. So thank you guys for sharing all that. She was a wonderful person. You.
No.
Lori
can't talk.
Lori can't talk.
I just have one story. Okay, so I'm Fran, and we all worked with Joanne when she was in Ventura County, and lots of stories about her compassion, working with kids with special needs. I can remember back in the day we used to have hands when children with special needs were acting out, hands-on ways of restraining them, and it was Joanne who said, we're not going to do that anymore in Ventura County, and we brought in new ways of intervening, and to this day, that's the way it is. But the story, Lori can't talk. I was supposed to say she lost her voice on the way down here in the car, but the story that I shared to her is about Joanne. So I still teach at our local university, Cal State Channel Islands. I'm still there. And I teach a class on people getting their teaching credentials. They want to be special ed teachers. It was just like 3 weeks ago, we were talking about when you work with little ones with special needs. Now I'm going to get the plane. No, not. So Joanne said, if you're working with a family or if they're a relative, anybody you know, and they have a child, an infant with a special need that's an obvious special need, most people I think are kind of, and Joanne said, you go up to that mom and you say, can I hold the baby? And I remember thinking, that's how Joanne was. She's so elemental. That's what everybody does. When you see a new baby, you say, can I hold the baby? And Joanne's point was, despite a disability that may be scary or off-putting or whatever, can I hold the baby? And whether the mother says yes or no is another question, but showing that compassion and that love. And I just shared that with my class like 2 weeks ago. If you meet somebody, here's what a good friend of mine said you need to do. So that was the story that I wanted to share. And Lori, do you want to try or? Oh, she's going to try. Okay. Well, take care. You don't have to have a mask on.
Well, that's not going to help.
Oh, I'm going to interpret? Oh, okay. I'm going to interpret.
She loved Richie.
So Lori's youngest son is Richie, who I just saw this morning. And Richie is her youngest son, and he was born with special needs.
He was a hellion.
And she's saying he was a hellion. Not my words, hers.
And she also helped me see the humor in some of the stuff that was breaking my heart. And that's an incredible gift.
So Joanne was able to see the child that Richie was through, and he wasn't a hellion. He was a difficult, challenging child with a heart of gold. Just saw him this morning. Oh my gosh, the love with that kid. But Joanne was able to help Lori by laughing about things, being
Not always right away. Sometimes
not always right away.
Yeah, I should say
But yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't funny.
Yeah, like the time that Richie stole the laptop from the superintendent who was going to do the PowerPoint for dedicating the new pool, for example. That time, it's always a story that's fun. So, all right, thank you. Who's next? Yes? Did one, okay. John, okay.
See what hasn't already been said.
Doesn't matter if you restate it, whatever you need to say. Do you want to sit?
No, I'm okay. Evan started off saying, why we thought it was appropriate to have this out here. What he didn't say, the first thing I have to say is, the main reason Joanne loved this garden so much was that she and I and Chip over there, our wonderful landscaper who now lives in Tennessee but came to be here today, designed all of this together. And sorry. And people in the neighborhood who don't really know her, but who go by here all the time walking their dogs or running or whatever, they knew Joanne as the butterfly lady because of the wonderful butterfly garden Chip created in the front yard. And actually, I'm surprised how few we're seeing today, but I guess maybe we're scaring them all off. Okay, so I wanted to say a couple things you might not know about Joanne. I think a couple people mentioned that, yes, she was a feminist, not in the sense that she was out demonstrating, or I can't recall her ever burning a bra, but she believed very strongly in empowering women and inequality for women. And sort of the first thing she did when, after we got engaged, she told me, she wasn't going to change from Joanne Knapp to Joanne Philo. She wanted to become Joanne Knapp-Philo with the hyphen. And that was pretty unusual in 1970 and in the US. And that was all good. But I have to say, that damn hyphen caused so much trouble with computers. You cannot imagine. I mean, and not just, I mean, of course, in 1970s and whatever, people didn't allow it. But still to this day, you know, you buy an airline ticket and then you're entering the name of the passenger, right? And then it says, you know, with all this real ID and all this, it's critical that your name on, you know, the name you enter for the passenger exactly matches that on your ID. Well, damn it, you cannot enter that hyphen on most of the airlines. That's still true today. So we haven't gotten there. She was actually a women's history scholar. And I guess Yvonne mentioned attending something at Stanford, and she actually taught one time the women's history course at Stanford. This was before that became a real part of the Stanford curriculum, but nonetheless she did that. And she also created, I don't know, at least a half a dozen short biographies of notable American women. I don't know, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, yada. I don't remember all they were. Grimke sisters. And for the American Association of University Women, this was back in the mid-90s, I think she did that. And those are still used today, I believe, by AAUW. But I think, so another important part of her feminism was she really believed in mentoring, women helping one another to pull themselves up and bring along the next generation. And so a story, I'm going to tell you a story of her friend Aruna, and I don't think maybe even Evan knows Aruna. No. So it was in the late 90s. Evan was still in Cornell, I'm pretty sure. And she was coming home from a business trip, probably up to Sonoma State. And so I was waiting, it was evening, and I knew she was going to get the shuttle back from LAX. And the doorbell rings, and I thought, well, that's a little strange. Why didn't she just come in? I go, I open the door, and there's Joanne in her suitcase. And then behind her is a young woman with her, I think, several suitcases, actually. And Joanne says, "This is my new friend Aruna. She's going to stay with us for a few days. Just trust me, don't ask." Okay. I'm like, okay. So it turned out, so she met Aruna on the airport shuttle, okay? She'd gotten on there, and Joanne noticed her right away because she seemed very tense. And when the shuttle driver asked her where did she want to get off, she said, "Well, I don't really know." And she said, "But I guess take me to California Lutheran University," which, when we lived in Thousand Oaks, was a block and a half from our house. So, to make a long story short, so it turned out, so Aruna was coming, had just arrived from India, and she was coming to the States to be a graduate, take an MBA from Cal Lutheran, and she sort of thought that they had a place for her to live, but she wasn't quite sure. But her plane was late, and it was evening, so university offices were all going to be closed, and so she just didn't know where to go. And she came to the U.S. like many American immigrants with almost no money. And so Joanne, being Joanne, took her under her wing, said, "Come stay with us, and we'll take you to the university tomorrow." And straighten things out. And so it turned out that Aruna was essentially fleeing her family. Okay, she had the details I don't remember, and you probably don't need to know, but it was some sort of situation where sort of traditional family where the men make all the decisions, and her father, her brothers, they did not want her to have a career. She was supposed to get married to somebody the family had picked out and make babies. Okay, and Aruna, that was not how she saw her life. And she somehow, found out that she could maybe get admitted to this program at California Lutheran, and this was her escape and her American dream. And she was going to come to California, and the streets were paved with gold, and everything would be wonderful. And of course it didn't work exactly that way, and turned out, of course, they didn't really have housing for an MBA student, and Aruna also did not have a clue about visas and the immigration system and green cards and all of that, and she was assuming that she could, because the MBA courses were all at night, that she could get a job and work in the day. But of course, on a student visa, no. So Joanne, basically became her mentor and put her in touch with people who, knew all about all this immigration stuff, and eventually Aruna figured out that this MBA program at Cal Lutheran, we didn't even know Cal Lutheran had any graduate programs whatsoever at that era. But it certainly was not a well-known one. And Joanne, talked to her about, isn't the whole point of having an MBA? It's really more about your connections and how they're going to help you make those connections and connect you to the right people and all of that. And so eventually Aruna left Cal Lutheran, left Thousand Oaks, and went off and did her thing. And I should say, she was a very bright woman. She maybe made some bad decisions coming the way she did, not really knowing what she was getting into, but nonetheless, she was very bright and succeeded and moved through corporate America, and Joanne did lose touch with her maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago, but over the course of 2 decades, she must have called Joanne for counseling almost every year, at least once, and every time she was going to change jobs, she would call Joanne, and Joanne would help. So eventually she did find her American dream with a little help from her friend. That's just who Joanne was. Okay, so I want to talk a little about Joanne's style. It's come up already. Lisa's, of course, talked about colorful clothes. And, of course, she was very well known for her jewelry. She always had to have her jewels. And they, too, were her own style. Joanne was never into gold, never into bling, diamonds, anything like that. She always wanted sort of handcrafted jewelry that was something she thought was special, meant something to her. And she had lots of it through the years, because I gave her lots of it, because she liked it. And she kind of became known for that. And she also sort of had her characteristic silk shirts that she liked from this store in Santa Barbara called Tienda Ho, with floral patterns or colors, things similar to what Miriam was wearing, which was one of Joanne's. Thank you for modeling, Mary. But really, it's not really that kind of style that I wanted to emphasize. It's really that her main style was that she always did things her way. Okay, and so I've brought some props with me to help me get through this. So I've got a picture here to illustrate some points. Come on. So I don't know whether you can zoom in on it. I'll pass this around in a minute. So this is a picture. So one, this is a travel photo from our trip to Africa. So of course you all know she loved to travel, and so we visited this bead factory. So where they made colorful bead necklaces and other things, and it's a place that's been around, I think, for about 25 years, and it exclusively employs sort of disadvantaged women, and many of them are single mothers, and very unusual for Kenya. They also provide health care. So, Joanne liked that idea, of course. And so she's standing next to one of the women. I think she was sort of a foreman or supervisor or something. But these two just hit it off, okay, instantly. And I forgot to point out, and this is sort of characteristic Joanne. Here we are traveling in Africa, but she's got her travel jewelry, okay? And she would spend hours deciding what to take on these trips because she wanted something that was nice, but she wanted the things that she didn't care so much if they got lost, right? So that was a big deal. And here also she is in one of her characteristic big sun hats with her sunnies on top. That's all her style. What wasn't her style, Africa cramped her style a little because she had to wear safari shirts, muted colors, okay? So none of her tan-to-ho stuff could go to Africa. But anyway, these two just hit it off like gangbusters, okay? And they had a good time. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think the woman worker had noticed her necklace, and so of course she was ecstatic about that. But yes. So my point is that, let me remind myself what the point is. How is it that this affluent American lady with a PhD can connect so easily with this African woman, definitely from at least an impoverished background? Maybe she had an elementary school education, probably for certain at most, but if even that, who knows? So what did they have in common? I mean, how could she connect with her? Well, certainly Joanne had empathy, and that's an important part of it. But I think more important is she always had respect for other people from different backgrounds and cultures. She always treated them with respect, no matter how humble their origins might be. And that was just one of her characteristics and sort of part of her style. And I think in particular, sort of an example in her work where, in my view, that was important was in her work with the American Indian tribes. I think they knew how much she respected their culture, their history, the fact that they're sovereign nations, and that respect enabled her to work with them, and they loved her. And that's why, she was so successful in doing new things with the Indian tribes. Okay, so if you know Joanne, you know she loved to read. She loved books. If you've been in the house, there's books everywhere. And trust me, I've cleaned out hundreds in the last few months already, but there's still plenty. And you may have noticed the huge cabinet of cookbooks. But interestingly, for Joanne, cookbooks were just basically like other books. They were books to read, but not to follow the recipes. Okay, she was a great cook. Look at me. But I don't think she ever actually followed a recipe in her life, right? That was her style. She was going to do it her way. Maybe she'd get some ideas, but she was going to do it her way. So my next prop here also happens to be from that same Africa trip. So we visited an elementary school in Tanzania. It's actually a school that has been supported for quite some time by, it's called the Grand Circle Foundation, which is part of overseas adventure travel that we had done a number of trips with. And Joanne felt very good about that, part of the money we were spending on our trip was going to do stuff like support the school, and I think they built restrooms and gardens and a water system, all kinds of stuff for the school. And we knew we were going to go there, and Overseas Adventure Travel had told us, it would be a nice thing to bring. Oh, sorry. To bring a gift for the school. And, of course, they were suggesting things like, colored pencils and that kind of stuff. But, Joanne, it had to be books. And they had to be the perfect books. And they had to be culturally appropriate books. So we spent hours at bookstores trying to find culturally appropriate books to take to this African school. Well, we weren't all that successful, which was hardly surprising here in San Diego, but she managed to find several that she thought were good enough to take. And so this is her surrounded by those kids reading the book. Sorry, this one always makes me cry. Because it's so her. And she loved doing that so much. And also, I remind you to say, so of all the many things she did in her career, from being a classroom teacher in special ed, and all through various things, being a principal, I think the thing she loved most was actually the time when she was the director of the Head Start National Family Literacy Center. What they called the, sorry, I'm forgetting, not Special Quest, Story Quest. Story Quest. I think that was her favorite because reading was so important for her. It was all about teaching kids to read. That was sort of the ultimate for her, and she really enjoyed that. So the last thing I want to say is, of course, she loved her family. It's very important to her. But she loved all families, and all families were important to her, and that was such a major part of her work was the realization that, and I remember from the early days when she was teaching in the Central Valley, and then in Santa Clara, she realized that kids with a given special need handicap, the outcome for that child depended so strongly on the family support, and the same sort of detriments they were born with could give very different outcomes. And it was all about that you had to support the family if you wanted to support the child, and that became a theme throughout her career. But coming back to her own family, so again, I'm going to use a prop here. So this is a picture of both of us and the two grandsons, taken, I think, in 2017. Taken right there in the Japanese pavilion, and she's laughing and having a great time, she told me on her last day she was ready to go. She had only one regret, and that was that she wasn't going to see these boys fully become men and to see the wonderful people she was sure they would become. And that was her only regret. And coming back to her style, so even in the end, she went out her own way. That was Joanne. She did it her own way. I miss her terribly. I'm grateful for the 55 years we had, and the most wonderful thing, of course, being our son and all that's come from him. And I just miss her. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Kind of flashy, isn't it? Had to leave. Yes.
Now, I'm supposed to offer you some assistance, Louis.
I don't know. We gotta go. Somebody's gotta go get the dinner.
I'd be happy to do that.
Don't have it. You wanna go? No.
There are a couple of connections.
Thank you, Doctor.
There's so many things I could have gone. Thanksgiving, two different. Okay, go ahead. I don't know what. Okay, that was talking about tolerance.
They're Modesto girls.
Very beautiful. Massive amount of tolerance from Joanne, when we were all living together. You know, and I was such a clueless idiot. We all were. Any other I didn't know that.
Where?
Okay, maybe the white one?
But you know what it was that was amazing about it? It wasn't cute. It was, I've been there, but there's this other path that you can go.
She did more in the life she had than I think most people would have done in like 200 years. She did more. I saw so much of the world in so many ways. Yes, oh definitely. Yeah. I owe a lot of who I am to my dad, your son. No, I just
That's beautiful.
But I mean, since I've been here, you know, I started taking pictures and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Well, that's the thing, is that like, it's, you know, she understood that like, why not just put in some hedges and some whatever. So lucky to have her as my grandmother.
I was going to cry about Les. It's like, thank God we don't have Les. We have you.
Well done.
Thank you for inviting me.
Welcome to Safe Zone.
I gotta go eat my family.
Okay, all right.
I would, like I said, I would be missing you were blessed. We're all blessed to help. There was no mold to break it. We did a wonderful Christmas.
So John, stop the live stream?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to leave a message before?
No, thank you.
Okay. Stop it. Okay.